I think a lot of people, when they get into like this online money space or whatever, they chase like every little shiny object. They're like, oh wow, you can make money with crypto. I'm gonna try that for a little bit. Oh, you can make money with dropshipping. I'll try that for a little bit. Oh, Amazon, I'll try that. And it's like you can make money with all of them, but not if you're doing all of them at the same time.
And when you look at bigger creators, you're just like, you just have to let go. It's not going to be perfect. You just have to let go. That's the only way you'll scale up. And I still struggle with that. I haven't even reached that point.
Yeah.
I do everything myself.
Like another good rule of thumb is your content is the sawdust of what you're doing. So you don't want to create content. You want to do your thing. And from it comes the content.
We're always going to crave connection no matter what happens. So I feel like the retreat industry is just going to keep getting bigger and better. There's a lot of opportunity for profit in it.
Give yourself a goal. Don't give yourself a 100 DM goal, 100 cold email goal. Give yourself a goal that will never make you look back to it. So if I bring myself to a goal of 10,000 outreaches, after 10,000 outreaches, I will never look back. If I didn't land a single client, I will never look back into that niche saying, oh, maybe I didn't try hard enough.
Okay, this is another episode I really enjoyed putting together. I have collected the best moments from 2024 from up-and-coming successful digital entrepreneurs. They share their learnings, their strategies, their struggles, and the mistakes that you may also make as an entrepreneur yourself. If you are planning to build a business in 2025, you do not want to miss this episode. I'm sure you are really going to enjoy it. So let's dive in.
Yeah, I know how to build audiences on any platform. I understand it. Once you understand the fundamentals, the principles, you can build an audience. And then more importantly, if you understand how to monetize that audience, you can make money. No matter what audience it is, I can help anybody with an audience make money, especially if they have not monetized it at all. If you're here, I'm helping content creators. They all have over 20,000 followers. I've helped them. And because that's the problem with most content creators is you're just creating content. That's what you are. You're a content creator. You're not a business owner. If you're a content creator, you're just creating content. That's the content you consume as well. You see, if you're a travel content creator, you watch other travel content creators and what they're doing. Oh, they're selling an ebook. That's such a great idea. Let me do that. It's if you want to make money, maybe you shouldn't learn from travel content creators. Maybe you should learn from business people who's actually building a business and making money. So that's the main thing is most content creators, they don't understand anything about business. They're not learning about marketing or sales or products or email automation or any of the business stuff that they need to learn. They're just creating content, which are the people I want to work with. I want to handle the business aspect, help them monetize so they can just create content. Because that's what they're good at. That's what they should be doing, is just creating content. But the problem that most people face is they do need money to continue creating content. But they don't want to sell out or sell to their audience. But even that's a limiting belief. That's again the whole mental aspect of making money in business. It's a limiting belief that they need to work through, which I would help them with. But you need to monitor. You need to make money. If you're not selling something, it means you're not serving the people who want to pay for your products or your services. There's different types of people. Me, for example, if I have the option to buy this cheap thing or a free thing or the more expensive one, I'm going to take the more expensive one because it means I'm saving time. You're either saving money and spending time, or you're saving time and spending money. So there's two different types of people. If you're not selling something to help those people save more time, then you're not serving them. You're not helping them. You're just helping the free people. You're just helping the people who want to save money and spend their time. But you're not helping the people who have money and they want to spend to save time to reach their goals faster.
And they're also going to work more into that.
And they're going to be
usually
invested.
Exactly. 10 people, and I've from my 3-4 now coaching years online, I've realized this pattern that very, very few people are going to be actually invested if they don't pay.
Yeah.
They just don't.
People
don't
pay attention.
Yeah. They don't put the effort in if they don't pay.
Yep.
When you work with all of these creators, what's usually the blocker that you see they have? How do you help them to monetize their brand if they haven't done it so?
Yeah, so it's very big. Like they don't want to sell to their audience. Like it's like a limiting belief. It's a fear. It's a mental block when it comes to making money. So that would be the first thing, just like helping them through that. And then another thing is just they don't know what to sell, where to even begin, what do I use, what software, like all of this stuff. It's like, hey, do you know about Notion? It's like you can create digital products on Notion. And like the way I would do it is depending on the type of niche they're in, you would create an information template in Notion, like an ebook type thing. So create the information product, host it in Notion. So like even me, if I get a PDF or a Google Doc, like I'm not using it. Like if it's not in Notion, it's not relevant. Like I'm not even touching it. But yeah, so they would create like a type of ebook, like an information product, like a mini course, like a guide, and then that can be the free thing. And then maybe another version which has video content included, maybe an actual system. Like if they can even sell like how they've grown their audience. But if it's around their niche, then maybe a system around that, maybe a database with a bunch of resources, just like more value. And then that's the two offers. Like it's one product page on Gumroad. It's the same product page, landing page, but two different tiers. So you've got one for the free people who want to spend time to save money. You've got one for the people who want to spend money to save time. And then what you do is you just promote that to your audience. You create content about it. Like obviously it needs to be something that you're invested in, like something that you want to help them with. And what I would recommend people do first is just put up a poll, ask questions, like do market research. What are their biggest problems? Because that's all that business is. It's just like you're solving problems. So what is the problems that your audience is struggling with? And then just help them solve those problems. And the way you do it is just through a free and paid product. So you have one for both. The free product, eventually, like the goal is to get them to buy the paid thing, or just like a lead magnet collecting their emails. And then you create content around that. And that's like the quickest way to just like monetize your audience.
What's your take on building an audience on social media versus building, let's say, a community on a platform like school?
Yeah, so it's super different. Like an audience is one way. It's like you create content and they consume, where a community is everybody can create content, but it's difficult if your audience, like you need to almost train them to become creators, because most of the people who join your community, they're still consumers. They're coming from your social media platforms, they're consuming your content, they're consuming other people's content. They're probably not creators. So now if they join your community, they're also just waiting for you to post content. So you have to facilitate them creating. You have to change them and train them to become creators within your community. And that's like the tricky part. But yeah, like a community is like they need to create themselves and you need to just like facilitate. And I would like after this like digital product, like this would be a way to just like have a product to sell. But the ultimate goal is to get them on school, like to build your own community, which is monthly recurring revenue. Because that's one of the biggest downsides when it comes to selling Notion templates, is it's not monthly recurring revenue. So yeah, it's a one-off payment. Like I know with High Level, they have it where if somebody buys your like software, like your template, like what you've created, and then they sign up to a High Level subscription, then you get like a percentage of that, like affiliate. But unfortunately, that's not the case with Notion, because if I would have gotten a percentage of everyone who upgraded their subscriptions through getting one of my Notion templates, like that's monthly recurring revenue, but that's not the case. Yeah, I wish that was. But yeah, so school, monthly recurring revenue, they would build a community around their niche, around the problems that their audience faces. Good way to do it is to do a challenge. Like you can initially promote it through a challenge. You're going to do this 30-day challenge, open it up, get people in. And then it's like every day you post something, you give them tasks, or you just get everybody engaged. And then it's, if you have an audience, you do low ticket, high volume. So you make it super cheap. Like the person needs to be able to still afford even in their worst month. So that's kind of the price point is, unless you're doing a high ticket thing, but ideally, if you have a lot of traffic, low ticket, make it super cheap, like a no-brainer offer, pack it with value, just like add stuff to it. And then you just drive a bunch of traffic to that link, and then it's monthly recurring revenue. And then inside the community, they get more access with you, which is like the main thing people want, is like just access to you. They want to see behind the scenes. They want to talk with you, hop on calls with you. They want to be involved in the decision-making process of you creating content. So you can put up polls. They can vote on this thumbnail or this thumbnail. Like you can get them involved in everything. And then obviously all the digital products that you create with Notion, all of those digital products, all of those digital products you just add to the community. So if you have 5 digital products and the total value is $250, but it's free inside the community, which is just $30 per month, it's like, okay, it's like a no-brainer offer. And you get group calls, and you get access to this and this and this.
So make an offer that they're gonna feel stupid saying no.
Yeah, like Alex Hormozy. Yeah, like just the irresistible offer. And that is like all the irresistible offers. It has 3 things: course, community, and calls. Like pretty much all of them. And that is exactly what school is about, is those 3 things. So yeah, you just load that with value, drive traffic to it, low ticket, and then you just build your community. And the value is the community in of itself. Like people would join for the accountability and the network and just like people like them in the community.
Just one thing that you mentioned, that if you already have an audience, low ticket, high volume, what do you do if you don't have an audience yet, but you want to build a community?
Yeah, so the beautiful thing about school is you can get organic traffic, like just from school. So if you have like a high value skill or like a high leverage skill, then you can get clients. Like it would be like a coaching type offer. Like you can get clients, and then it would be in the form of the school community. So if you already have existing clients, then you just put them in your community. You do the payment through school, or you just do it off of school, just like have them in the community. But yeah, it depends on, I guess, if you're doing like cold outreach, getting clients, like how are you getting clients? If you're getting clients organically, then what you can also do is you can have a free community and then like just sell them into your coaching program. Like that's also an option. If you don't have an audience at all and you're just getting started, but you know a lot about this specific thing, then you can start a free community, because then you would get a lot of traffic just from school, like to your free community. You engage in other people's communities, provide value, people come to yours, and then that's a way to build your audience. Like you first build the community, which will then build your audience, because from the questions that you get in your community, you get content. And
it's a social listening tool.
Yes. And you learn people's problems, you help them, that's content. You like through helping everyone, it's like, okay, this can be like a mini digital product or a system or a this or that. Like you just create these things, put it in the community, start creating content about it. Like your community becomes the content. Like another good rule of thumb is your content is the sawdust of what you're doing. So you don't want to create content, you want to do your thing, and from it comes the content. So your community would be the thing that you're doing. That's your service. That's how you're helping people. That's how you're providing value. And from that comes the content that you post on social media to drive traffic to your community. And then you would have something that you sell to them in the community, like the people who would benefit from like a coaching program or a higher ticket offer or products even.
So would you recommend like for a community base to literally let's just pack most of the courses and everything you want in a high volume but low ticket offer to them, but then like what would be the upsells like for the high ticket, like more of like other courses that are more advanced and more access to you? Because I'm currently in this building process, like upgrading my old academy to a different version of it, which is way more loaded with content and loads of stuff. And we are doing this currently. Like we have a low, really no-brainer offer for the community mainly. And now we're thinking how much stuff to add into it. And we're adding a lot. But we have like the other courses there as well, which is like a more high ticket that we used to sell by now so far. So we following exact the same pattern, but like where do you draw the line on how much value to throw into this low cost offer? Because in our perspective, we're trying to go to the Harmosis approach. Like just give everything, like give everything to them. Like let them have like thousands of hours to consume content. How would you approach that?
Yeah, so two things. One thing is the 7-11-4 rule. So usually someone buys after 7 interactions with your brand, 11 hours of consuming your content, and on 4 different social media platforms. So if you have like a bunch, like courses, like as you said, just like hours of content, then it would help in like building your brand and building that trust. So that's good. And then another thing is there's 4 different types of communities. So you have community focused, which is just like super niche, like this group of people. You have product focused. So you can have products that get maybe exclusive, like for me, like Notion templates every month, or you do drops, or just like a product focused community. You have information focused, which is courses, like the information, the content, the material, group calls. And then you have service focused community, which is they get access to your team or your services, what you have to offer. So through playing around with those 4, you can sort of see like, okay, the low ticket or the free one will be more community information focused. And then the higher ticket one will be like product and service focused. So they get like a little bit more. And then you can like also value stack all of that. But yeah, it would depend on everything. But yeah, I would do like if you add services or like access and like more like value to the higher ticket thing, then it makes sense to like split that. And then the lower ticket community, like you do want to get to the point where it's like, shit, I'm giving away way too much for this price.
I'm that type of person, like when you see something that sounds exciting and it's working for people, I'm like, I want to do that. So I'm kind of my mom will call me like, was it fickle minded or like jack of all trades, master of none. I'm perfect example of that. But I'd like to just master content creation if that could be a big thing.
But maybe that's your competitive advantage right there, that you have a knowledge about seemingly unrelated topics and you're able to transfer that experience to a very different domain, and this is how innovation happens as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was always a generalist. I was always pretty good at figuring stuff out and learning stuff very fast, and after that I get bored and I jump to the next thing.
I call it shiny object syndrome.
That's another thing as well.
I've been taught that like, oh, it's bad, but I actually would believe that. But later on, I believed that there's some like pros, there's some good in that. Like, just go after what excites you, because like I think it's some sort of restraint. Like you're working on something, and then you have another idea that you want to try out, and they're like, just focus on one. But I'm still kind of struggling on that. I do believe focusing on one, but like I still believe you could try something that
I'm guilty for that too, the shiny object syndrome sometimes. And as a creator, I think what you need as like a partner in your work, or like someone that you might hire and assist you in your work, if you are a very creative kind of person, you need someone with quite good organization skill to narrow you down and help you focus on the things you need to do next and tasks. Because as a creative person myself, my mind runs 1,000 miles an hour everywhere at the same time. And I do struggle with the new shiny project syndrome or thing syndrome, because
Shiny
it's project
syndrome. Yeah, that's
shiny
the thing.
project syndrome for me, because I'm thinking literally, not to over exaggerate things, but like definitely 2 ideas a day. like, oh, that could be, that's also a great idea. Oh, that's a business idea there. Oh, that's a good video idea. Like it just runs nonstop.
I think that's the mind of an entrepreneur, you know?
Yeah. But that also helps you like focus on what you're good on, and like ideas, generate ideas, write them down and execute them. And a lot of times I feel like it's necessary to have someone to help you do the other stuff. Like for me, it would save me so much time, because every time I'm trying to organize my shit as well, like I can, but I've struggled so much to build that skill the last years. And I still struggle.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely cannot just do all of this myself. I tell myself I want to be the creator, and then I want someone else to do the other stuff, organize or anything. Yeah. And honestly, my other project idea, I was like, I want to create an agency because I know so many creators that just want to create and record, and everyone else, and the agency, you hire someone to edit, do all this. Like that obviously would be like $1 million idea, but I just, I don't have the strength for that. But I'm just going to test it with myself. I'm hiring right now. There's a really good site called onlinejobs.ph. You could find a lot of Filipino workers for like people doing like $4 an hour that could do really good work. A creator told me about that. And I'm currently emailing and working with, sorry?
Jack told you about that?
No.
Oh, because I think he also used...
It's a popular one. Like, yeah.
He suggested me this one too.
Yeah, I'm excited to use it. Like, I really think they're going to help me out a lot. That's really just how you scale. But there's like some cons about knowing everything. Like, let's say if you micromanage everything, you know how to do everything. You want to do everything yourself because you know how to do it best. So I always struggled. I only had like an editor like maybe 3 months until I was like, I want to do everything myself because you're a perfectionist. You know everything. And when you look at bigger creators, you're just like, you just have to let go. It's not going to be perfect. You just have to let go. That's the only way you'll scale up. And I still struggle with that. I haven't even reached that point.
Yeah.
I do everything myself because it's also, you don't want to get someone that's like too cheap that'll mess up everything because you're going to work extra hard to correct their mistakes. So you want to, it's more like a budget thing too. If you're going to have to, it's an investment. It's a lot of money to invest in, but you have to just think about it's going to produce so much, and then you get that back
in the future.
Yeah, from my
struggle with that.
experience, the only way to navigate that is by having a very strong sense of vision or purpose that, okay, this is what I'm working towards, and maybe I'm going to have to make some sacrifices today on, let's say, the quality, and I hire this person, and that person is not going to be able to 100% replicate what I have in mind, but it's kind of like good enough, because I choose speed over perfectionism. How do you navigate that?
I haven't. So I only had an editor that did captions because like that's the least you could like really mess up, and everything else I cut, I edit, I filmed, I cut all those viral shorts myself. And I kind of had this limiting belief that if I let someone else cut the short form content into reels, they're not going to be viral like mine's were. And I was like, okay, if they're not going to go viral, I'll just do everything myself. So I have a lot of limiting beliefs, but at the end of the day, I think as long as you record good content, it will have a good chance to be viral. So trust in yourself that you record good content, and then it'll be obvious that they can cut it into viral content. So
is there something that you felt a lot of resistance against to do or make a certain decision, but you did it anyways and it turned out to be a great decision?
Yeah. A lot of my journey and my content creation success was doing things alone. And I would just be like, oh God, I don't want to. I remember I flew to Jakarta alone. I took a train 1 hour to Bandung, drove Jakarta alone. And I was like, I was vlogging and carrying like all my luggage and like holding everything. And I was like, oh, this is so like hard for a girl, especially me. People see me like, oh, this poor girl, she's doing everything herself. She looks like she needs help. But at the end of the day, it produced like really good content. Like, everything I wanted in my content creation job journey. So, I guess just like pushing myself, but not to the point where I pushed myself to limits where I burnt out, where, man, travel, especially alone, you're like out there on the streets, you're tired and stuff. You go home, you're like in this empty hotel room and you're like just tired. You have no one to talk to about it. And you just went through so much and you have like so much to say. And it's like, yeah, you just sleep. It's just like, it's crazy.
And then you have to do all the editing as well.
So actually, honestly, I did really well. I would say my success came from, I busied myself by just doing my job. So, I mean, yeah, there's like pros and cons of like, I'm struggling with it, like being in a relationship, because I've been on a big break ever since I got in a relationship. Like, when you're single, that's you just think about work and how you're going to succeed yourself. But now you're thinking about two people and making sure that they're happy and it's different. So instead of complaining, I'm just trying to shift now. Like, okay, how can I incorporate my partner in this video? How can we do this together? Instead of like, I want to do this, but.
And it also gives you like some part of like a break from the work and bring out to just like, okay, now have all the work, but they also have like a person to share some nice moments with and decompress and someone to talk to at night instead of just be like, to sleep. So it's with the pros and cons. I see the con of the side of you need to think of another person. You can't just have like the freedom of just think and do by yourself. But at the same time, you have a better balance between like work and life and enjoyment.
Totally.
And someone to share those wins and success.
Exactly. I almost was about to like looking for a course like, because no one really does this. Content creators that get in relationships, how do you navigate that? Do you have to be in the same niche together? Do you have to focus on the same topics? Are you completely different? Like I almost wanted that, looking for that, but I guess you could just figure it out yourself. But that would be kind of nice. I'm curious.
It doesn't matter too much for me to be in the same niche or topic as long as you understand probably each other.
For sure. Yeah. I learned that. I actually, like when I was thinking of when I was single, my my ideal boyfriend, like I'm looking for someone that is a travel vlogger, does exactly what I do. But then I realized like I had a friend that did it similar. We were almost like competing against each other and kind of more like clashing in like ideas. So it was not good. It's actually better
to be in different niche, yeah.
Separate. So yeah.
You are not just trying all these different kind of businesses, but you're also interviewing business owners about their businesses. So I assume that you already had a lot of conversation with successful people. Is there any kind of learning that you noticed that what sets someone apart from being successful versus not being successful?
I would say the main thing is probably just being clear about your direction, being clear about where you're going and what you want to achieve. I think a lot of people, when they get into like this online money space or whatever, they chase like every little shiny object. They're like, oh, wow, you can make money with crypto. I'm going to try that for a little bit. Oh, you can make money with dropshipping. I'll try that for a little bit. Oh, Amazon, I'll try that. And it's like, you can make money with all of them, but not if you're doing all of them at the same time. If you just choose one thing and stick with it, chances are you're going to outperform 99% of people, because most people are in this mindset of what's working right now, let's try it. If it doesn't work in 2 weeks, then I'm going to move on to the next thing. Everyone that I have interviewed and everyone that I have in my circle of friends and that I've just met making these videos, they all are very clear about what they want to do. They have one thing that they focus every single day on, and that brings them the most success.
Yeah, that's why I also like always to relate businesses with like relationships. It's like you cannot expect any relationship to work when you just keep jumping on the next new shiny person that you just met. You need to just commit and make it work. And the same it goes with your business. Like what you said is, I think the main difference between people who make it or not, because they just give up. They give up like probably because they're disappointed. It was the first struggle, the first difficulty. Yeah, I'm gonna drop this person. I'm gonna drop my business. You know, they don't go all in for it.
I think it's very common. Have you guys seen that post from Alex Hormozy about the emotional cycle of change? Yeah. No? So every single time when you start something new, you're like super hyped up and you are optimistic. So this is uninformed optimism. That's the stage where you are. And then you give it a go, you are hyped because your body told you like, man, like you should jump into dropshipping, like this is the real deal and you're going to make a bunch of money. And you jump in and then you figure out that, oh, it's actually not as easy as I thought. Then you are at the phase of informed pessimism. And then from there, actually things just start like declining and you reach that point where you have to make a decision. This is called the valley of despair. And you have to make a decision whether you are just going to like keep going. The potential outcome could be you are going to crash and burn, or you are actually going to succeed. But people don't even want to make that decision because they see another shiny object and like, oh, I'm going to jump there. And then the cycle just repeats and they never actually push through and they never actually experience success because they just choose to jump to the next thing. But when we look at what you do the same. You jump from
Yeah, I do, yeah.
you jump from business to business.
Yeah.
So,
That was also in the book Atomic Habits.
which one?
This emotional cycle of change and the things is in this book, like described perfectly, and has a statistic also there. You know, like in which of these the majority of people quit?
Yeah.
They quit in the informed pessimism, and the ones that didn't quit there, they 90 something I think % was like they quit in the valley of despair.
Yeah. So I think it also raises the question, is there a project or a business that you started, but you stopped, but you wish that you have continued?
Oh, for sure. A lot of the dropshipping businesses, because for most of the videos, I just started the dropshipping stores for the video. So it'd be like a 2 to 3 week challenge where I'm just seeing, I'm finding products that are viral right now, and I'm seeing, can you make money with this? And I'm advertising it and whatever, and just seeing how it goes. And I think I've made like probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 dropshipping challenge videos at this point. And most of them were not successful. I'm completely honest about that. I'm honest that I was not profitable with the businesses, and that's why I think like my videos stand out more than a lot of people, because people just show you the wins, where I'm like just 100% real. If I make the wins, and I'll show you, but I'm also showing you a lot of the losses and the behind the scenes stuff that people don't show you. They don't show you that you need to test 1,000 products or whatever, like not 1,000, but probably like over 100 products to find one that works. Um, so yeah, I mean, I started a ton of dropshipping stores, especially like when I first started making the videos, I was doing a ton of product research, and I would just give up too easy, I think, even though I didn't make money in the video, but there was so much potential there that I'm starting to realize now. So in a lot of those videos, there's products that I think I was one of the early people to find these products, and I gave up after 2 weeks, and now I'm looking at brands that are making like over $1 million selling the same product that I found. I was like, yeah. So
But it's the
that
same pattern with the same thing that you told me earlier for your videos.
what's that?
It's the same pattern with the video.
Same pattern with the video.
Yeah, that's you didn't see too much attachment to the outcome.
Yeah. No. Yeah. For sure. For sure. I know because for me, like the video was the most important part rather than building the business for me, because especially with the drop shipping videos, right? And these different types of side hustles, they're sold as almost these like get rich quick schemes where it's like start drop shipping, start a store today and run some ads and you'll make $10,000 a month next week if you just start spending some money on ads. And it's like they don't show you that they spent thousands of dollars on 10 different products last week that all failed, and like they finally found one that works. So yeah, that was definitely a lesson. There's definitely a lesson there to maybe not give up too quickly, I think.
But I think this authenticity that you're showing your defeats, you're showing like everything, it makes you more relatable to people, and that's why probably they like your audience likes your videos because they're there for that reason. But back to your case, like, do you believe you have made progress up to date with that?
With the businesses?
With staying consistent even when things go wrong or when you don't get the outcome you expected?
I would say I'm more consistent than I was before because I didn't post for years and I always had the thought of posting in my head. But still now I definitely struggle with staying consistent, especially with the YouTube videos because they take so much work and effort. And especially like we're talking about how I'm jumping a lot of time from businesses to businesses just to like talk about them in the videos. That's like it's a ton of work because I'm like researching a whole new business and trying to learn the ins and outs of this, and then also like on top of that scripting and filming and editing a video, so a lot of that becomes like pretty exhausting. So for that reason I struggle with consistency because it's just so much work at the end of the day, and it's so much to like try to learn all these things and then on top of that try to document it in a way that's entertaining. Which is why right now I'm more transitioning into content where I'm interviewing people and talking about their businesses rather than coming across as this guy who's talking about these businesses, because I think that there's a million people that can say these things better than I can, and they can do it in a better way. Where if I'm just interviewing people and I'm asking good questions, and that kind of content creates itself, and I don't have to act like I'm some expert.
And it's also good, like, and I appreciated a lot what you said to me yesterday, that you don't try to come across as an expert in your channel, but you're trying to come across as a person who tries
Yeah.
different stuff. And now that combined with what you just said about the authenticity, that you saw your failures, and I believe that actually helps you a lot to grow. Like I seen it with my work as well. I believe that one of the main reasons my other podcast grew, it was because both me and George, we've been showing off like our struggles. We have podcasts for mental health, but at the same time we share things that broke us down, moments that we cried and we struggled with. And I feel that especially nowadays in the social media, that everyone's portraying the perfect life and the perfect image of themselves, that people who stand out are those ones who just so like, look, I'm just trying, I failed. You may learn something and you may not fail after me, but that was my experience with it. Or look, yeah, I have this knowledge, I'm sharing this with you, but I'm not Jesus, I'm not a God. That's who I am. That's what I struggle as well with. And that creates this actual relatable content and connection with your viewers and yourself. Do you feel that through your work as well, like you have this relatability with, like, is it one of your intentions, like the way you portray that, or you just want to be open? Or you also have it in mind, like I want to be the guy who's, you kind of guys relate with me?
Yeah, I think so. I think when I was starting my channel, when I was watching these videos and just trying to figure out what kind of direction I wanted to take my videos, I was looking for people who are like me, who are just like young and interested in making money and not having to go to school and get a job and do this entire cycle. And I was looking for people who were relatable and authentic. And there was only like a few other YouTubers that I could find that kind of took that approach. One of the main ones was this kid Bia Heza. He from
Oh yeah,
Have
I
you seen
know.
him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he like for me for my channel, he was like a huge inspiration because he's just like this young kid. He's like just super authentic. He shows you like, and he makes a ton of money, and he shows you the entire process, and he makes it entertaining. So for me, like with the videos, I really just wanted to be myself, be authentic as possible. And that's why I think like showing things like the failures and like, maybe even like talking about like I messed up here and I wasn't that motivated and that's why this store didn't work out. This type of stuff, I think a lot of people can relate to, rather than like painting yourself as this like master entrepreneur and I have everything figured out and buy my course. You know.
I think there's a new trend. At least I noticed that people are looking for ugly. So what it means is that they are looking for something that's raw and authentic. They don't want the beautifully portrayed story. They don't want the final production to be amazing. What people started resonating with more is that they can see a real human being behind the camera who is just their true authentic self, and they just speak. And this is exactly the kind of connection that people are looking for, because we are also living in an era where everything is just perfectly designed and you don't even know what's AI, what's not AI, what's true, what's not true, and everybody's trying to portray a different kind of image of themselves. So I think this is also like another reason why people should just dare to go out there and just show themselves and speak their mind. And there's always going to be people who are not going to like you, but there's always going to be people who are going to like you. You sort of answered this question, but if you think about why people come back to your channel, why do you think they keep on watching your videos and staying on top of whatever else is coming?
I think, to be honest, I think a lot of it is, especially for the business challenge type videos, I think a lot of those people are like interested in these types of businesses, but they're never actually going to put the work in and do it themselves. So they like watching other people try it and come to a conclusion on their own, whether this is worth it or not, without actually having to put in all the work. It's kind of like a cynical answer, but I think there's a lot of truth to that, because if you look at these, like, my biggest video is this dropshipping video where I didn't make money with it. And 900,000 people saw that video. 'How many of those 900,000 do you think actually took action and started a business? 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100% Probably very few. Probably very few. So I think a big part of it is that. Also, I think there's probably just like a growing hunger in the younger generation for entrepreneurship and for, kind of creating like a life of freedom and making money without having to rely on someone else and answering to someone else. I think that's a big part of it as well. I mean, this like business content niche is like just constantly growing. It's only getting bigger. I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons. Yeah.
How do you find the courage to do all of these businesses? Because obviously the potential outcome is very likely to be failure because you're new, like you don't know anything about that space. So like where do you find not just the inspiration but also the balls to actually go there, put yourself out there, and even not just to fail potentially but also document your failure?
I think it's just curiosity. Like, I think this entire channel started out of curiosity. Is this whole online money space real? Are people actually making as much money as they say they're making with these things? So for me, it was always just like, okay, I see people saying that they're doing this, and they say that they just made $20,000 in a week. That's crazy. Like, I worked a full-time job. I worked 40 hours a week and I made like $2,000. So how is that possible? This kid says he's working 5 hours a week and he's making, 5 times what I'm making. So for me, it was always just like out of curiosity and kind of helping other people who are in the same mindset as me, like get them an answer. Is this real or is it not? And for a lot of it, I wouldn't say the answer is no. It's just people make it seem like it's a lot easier than it really is.
Would you recommend these to other people to do it?
The businesses?
Or is too much, what you do? Or is like too much of a stress and struggle and hassle? Would it be something that you're like, yeah, guys, go try that?
Making my type of videos or just the individual businesses?
No, to try different businesses.
No, I would find one thing that you actually think that you can stick to and that you can show up every single day and actually find some enjoyment in and stick to that. I wouldn't jump from business to business. It's unsustainable. Yeah.
But you have like a lot of experience now that you tried many things. Do you feel like you're found or you're close to finding that one thing for you?
For me, the YouTube channel is the business.
So the trying a different business and YouTube channel, that's your business.
That's the business.
So that's your
for me.
thing.
For me is just kind of being like this, this online money investigator.
There's so many risks in the retreat industry.
Yeah.
I think my number one is like having liability for so many people, being responsible for them, because sure, there's contracts in place and insurances protecting me, but I still would never be able to live with like someone getting like actually really hurt on a retreat or just something bad happening to them. I think that's like one of the big risks that I take. And even like the day before a retreat, I don't even deal with a lot of anxiety, but the day before I'm always like, I just want to like lay in like a ball and just not talk to anyone. And it's literally due to the stress of the fact that something harmful might happen to someone during my retreat just because it's like adventure and it's travels and like someone could get their phone stolen. So I think, I have to just risk it, hope for the best, because otherwise my retreats just wouldn't happen at all. And just in general, like risk taking, I think is so important. If you don't take risks, you're like never going to level up. You're never going to get to the next place. I feel like it's just so important to trust the universe, trust yourself, and trust what you want for yourself. Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, you're not making a retreat for kids. They're all adults and they have to be liable for themselves.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm getting you guys there, but you know the dangers. You are like at a certain age that you know life, be careful.
No, absolutely. And that's
but
something I have
it's-
learned throughout the retreats.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning, I was taking 18-year-olds and now I still might, but I wait. Sometimes like if they're like 22, I'd rather take just someone older because an 18-year-old doesn't actually know that they're liable for themselves a lot of the time in experience.
That's true.
A lot of my retreats in the beginning, I was like a mother / nanny for like 18-year-olds getting super drunk at night. Like that could be dangerous.
Especially the 18-year-olds from US moving out of the US that they're now allowed to drink.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so tempting.
There's no mommy and daddy watching.
There's
So
no mommy and daddy.
even though I'm not actually responsible for them, like because they should be sort of responsible for themselves, people
You
don't
still
realize
feel a
that.
certain level of
Yeah, and you are.
responsibility.
Yeah. Since you mentioned it, what's your age demographic?
Yeah, I mean, on TikTok, it's from like 18 to 30. But it's really weird because like 2 years ago, everyone that was applying was like 18 to 24.
Yeah.
Now I've had like 30-year-olds come, and I really see the difference in how a 30-year-old acts than an 18-year-old, which is so nice to just have someone, just a more mature audience. And what I've also realized is my audience is growing with me, so it's so nice. Like I used to think, oh, I'm so embarrassed that I'm 26 years old because these people are coming and they're always like, how old are you? And I'm like 25, 26. And they're like, I thought you were so much younger from your TikToks. And I always like feel insulted. And then I was like, okay, I guess like at a point I'm going to lose people and I'm not going to have an audience because I'm just going to get too old. They're not going to like understand me. But then I'm like, no, my audience also grows and they'll continue to want to come to my retreats because they will be different and level up. And
yeah, exactly. Because it's with the same thing with us. Every personal brand, like some people grow with you. So when you transition from parting retreats to more self-care retreats and more serious stuff, like they also grew all of this 5, 6, 10 years.
exactly,
So now their
it's so
interests
nice
also
to
changed.
see.
And at the same time, you attract new audience based on the new thing that you're promoting
For
and
sure.
you're putting out there. But like, let's say lately, what, not only on your TikTok, but on your retreats, what's like the age demographic that you usually have?
I want to say it's like 20 to 30.
Okay.
It's kind of like long, big, but
Yeah. It's
yeah.
exactly. It's just like grows as you grow.
Yeah, and as I get older, I'm sure they'll start being older. So
And that's also the audience that can actually pay.
yeah, I've also
And then that's
realized
another
that, and
factor.
it's nice. It's definitely nice, and I get to have more fun with it with like bigger budgets. I get to get like a castle in France versus like little apartment somewhere. So it's nice for me to
A castle with friends.
like a castle in France. That's
Oh,
like
a
my next
castle
retreat
in
is in a
France.
castle, and it's because my audience.
Did you
is
actually rent a whole castle for a retreat?
Yes.
What the
It
fuck?
has been abandoned for centuries.
It's not
Nah,
abandoned.
Obviously, I don't think that, but it's probably like a hotel castle or something.
There's a lot of chateaus in France and like Italy and like England. There's a lot of castles.
I mean, that's
actually.
a concept for a retreat. Welcome to my castle. For
Yeah,
this
that's so
retreat.
fun.
Is the one that's coming now, or
Yeah, it's in like 20 days, I think, or like 2 weeks or something.
where in France?
La Rochelle. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but it's in the countryside, like near the coast.
Wow.
Sounds so much fun.
Yeah, I would love to join to a castle.
Yeah. I would like to steer back to the risks that you are taking as a business owner as well. So how does the financial part of things work in this business? Because I think many people just don't know it, don't understand it. And also when I talk to some of my friends who want to or try to run retreats, some of the costs that come with the retreat itself, it can be very scary. So do you pay everything up front, or you use a deposit that you collect, and then only after that you book the venue, or how does this actually work?
Yeah, I've always found booking the venue to be like my first thing I do, because once I book the venue in my head, it's real. I have to sell this thing out. Like, I'm not going to lose money. So that's I do book a venue
On your own money.
with
So
my own
that's
money.
how you
It's
start.
a
You
risk.
first book the venue before
Yeah,
you...
I mean, I booked that house without knowing if these people were actually going to join me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I feel like if you follow your intuition and like you don't feel, I just feel like I just believe in myself. You just have to believe in yourself. So yeah, that was
That's
a
a
risk
good
for
message.
sure. So yeah, that's what I do now. That's like my little trick. Obviously, okay, now I'm like at 13, so I know they're gonna sell out, and I'm blessed and all. But at the beginning, even the fourth or fifth, I was like, is it still gonna happen? I was like, let me just put the money down, because once there's money involved, there's enough motivation for me to try and sell this thing. So yeah, and then a lot of the other expenses, such as the adventure, itinerary, or yoga teachers or assistants, whatever, I'm not paying up front. I'm paying after. So that I'll just use with, whoever's coming, and use whatever they're paying me. And I feel like there's just...
After the retreat, or after people paid for the retreat?
Well, everyone pays for the retreat before they arrive.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm not paying for excursions until after we did do the dolphins, or
Okay.
you know, it's like in that moment during the
Yeah.
retreat. So usually I do always have the money.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, every retreat I do is a huge risk, because maybe my audience isn't going to want to go to France in a castle. I don't know. Maybe people, it just depends. Or like, even when I was going to do a retreat in Colombia, because I'm Colombian, I realized that Colombia maybe isn't that popular of a destination, A, as like compared to like Costa Rica and Mexico, and B, it's seen as really dangerous. So that's a huge risk. But I believed in myself, and I was just like, I'm going to go for it. If it doesn't work, then, well, I'm not going to do another one in Colombia. You just kind of have to do it and learn as you go. And that's what I've literally done. And every single retreat, I learn so much that it's crazy. Like, it's so insane. And when I was like 3 years ago, I remember wishing like I just had, if I could take a course on retreats, like but there was no such thing, or I couldn't find one anyway. So I just kept doing it. And yeah, you just realize you're just going to learn as you go anyway. And if it comes out terrible, then you just know exactly what not to do. So you're not losing anyway, just getting closer.
What was like some research that you did to learn in the process? Did you hire someone? Did you get a course, not on retreat, but business or something? Like, what would be the
Did you have a
behind
mentor?
the scene process for you?
Wait, what did you say?
Did you have a mentor?
No. So when I started, I didn't have money to invest in myself.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I was just trying to make it work and travel for free because I didn't want to come back home. Now that I make money and I have money to invest in myself, I find it so incredibly important to invest in yourself. But at the beginning, no, there was nothing. There's no research, nothing. I didn't even know what to call.
Try and error.
Yeah, and I also didn't believe that I was in the space of retreat hosting, because retreat to me was like a yoga retreat. When I started, it was not yoga. It was just adventure and like community. So I didn't even know what to put on Google, to be honest. But it was fine. I just kept doing it because, you know, it was just the life I was giving in that moment.
What would be like a piece of advice you would give to someone who has no money but wants to travel?
A, choose a destination that's close to your like hometown, or the flight doesn't cost that much money. Like when I wanted to start traveling, my dream was to go to Hawaii, but that's an 8-hour flight and really expensive. Or Mexico. In my mind was like, oh, it's just Mexico. But no, actually there's like such beautiful places everywhere. So just go to a place that's close by, and then always try and go to a place that's just affordable, or your currency exchange is in benefit to you. And just do it. I feel like just getting out there even for a week is better than never doing it, because once you feel that like freedom and that taste of it, it's enough motivation to get you to continue going and like figuring out what's going to get you there.
And if someone wants to do their own first retreat, what would you say?
Also, just to do it. Like, my thing is just book the venue. Once you book the venue, I feel like that's enough motivation, because you might lose money, sure, like you really can. But if you know this is what, you know, you want, what would make you happy, and you have a message you need to spread, it's not just about you, it's about others too. So just risk it. Just do it.
Like if I asked you literally right now, like, look, I want to book a retreat, I want to do a retreat, but literally I have no idea where to start or what to do, what would you say to me? Except from just book the venue.
Just, I guess, like start with like a niche or a vibe, and go on Pinterest maybe, and that's what I do. Pinterest. It's like a.
Oh, no, I know what
I know
it
what
is. but
Pinterest.
Why
Why?
Pinterest?
I just like to visualize what it would be like.
Okay.
So like when I had the idea to do the French retreat in a castle, I just wanted to like visualize what it would look like. And that got me super excited. And then I put a flyer up with pictures from Pinterest. Don't know if that's loud, but I've always done that. And yeah, once there's a flyer, then it's just like, it feels more real. So maybe, I guess, do like a little vision board, or just like visuals of what you want it to look like and envision. And then continue adding on steps.
I actually want to do a retreat at some point.
Do it. It's a huge industry. It's like evergreen, and you know, as our world keeps getting more into like technology and our phones, we obviously are going to crave connection even more and more. And we're always going to crave connection no matter what happens. So I feel like the retreat industry is just going to keep getting bigger and better. And there's a lot of opportunity for profit in it.
Yeah, and it's for me it was also the connection as well, like a big motivation. Is that what you said? Because a lot of things that we do in my other podcast is about connection and about like bringing people like-minded and in the same tribe, you know. And we've been talking about doing a retreat at some point because of that, like just to meet people with each other.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And offer some nice experience.
Mm-hmm. And it's really rewarding, obviously.
Yeah.
So you're of service to people. It's nice.
Still going back to some of the practicalities here.
Yeah.
So for jumping, but I think it's very interesting, and I think that there's going to be more and more retreats popping up. So I think you're in a very interesting space, because I also started to see how influencers started to treat their audience more as a community and provide experiences for them, which is kind of like very similar to the experiences that you provide for the people who are showing up there.
Exactly what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do everything yourself, or you outsource like bigger chunks of it? So let's say I was just speaking to a friend of mine, and she was asking like, hey, like I found this potential partner who is going to do the venue setup. They are going to do the marketing. They are going to do the catering, but they want like 40% of all the revenue that I bring in. So like, what's your recommendation there? How do you do it? And what are the things that you do in order to make it happen? And at the same time, like not to take too much on yourself?
Yeah, I think at the beginning, like circumstances may be harder. You may not have as much freedom. So just do whatever it takes to make it happen. So yes, I did absolutely everything from organizing, marketing, hosting, every single thing I did myself. And I continued to do that for about 7 retreats. But now that I make money, still, even with making money and knowing that I could invest and get people to help me, I still chose not to because I wanted to keep every part of the profit. But now I realize it's just way more sustainable to give jobs to people so I can have more energy. And also it's just so important to not do things that I don't even like doing. Like, I don't like building a website. Why would I waste so much of my time building a website when someone can do it that likes to do it and knows how to do it? So at the beginning, if you don't have the money to pay for other people, it's fine, do it yourself. But once you do, I definitely recommend giving the opportunity to someone else to do it who actually enjoys it, and then just spending that energy on creating more of what you actually do enjoy.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Like the more, especially the tasks you don't want to do, it's better to give it to someone else because they're usually going to do it better than you. And then you have more free time to actually do, and energy to do the things that are important, and you can only do them.
Yeah, and for me, it was like fear of losing profit. That's why I didn't want to give jobs to people. But then I realized, okay, then after a retreat, I'm dead for like a month. I can't even talk to people or be social, or I have to stay in a cocoon. So it's so unsustainable because then I can't even have 2 retreats back to back, or I have to wait 2 to 3 months before each retreat. So actually my income is less because now if I have an assistant who helps and does certain things for me, now I can do 2 back to back. Like I just had one, I think like 20 days ago, and I'm about to go host another one. And that's
so you have now an assistant?
Huh?
So now you have an assistant?
Yeah, I have people that help me. I have someone builds my website. Now I have like a virtual assistant. It's someone from.
Do you have an assistant with you on the retreats, or you're
and then,
just solo host?
Depending on the retreat, I'll usually have either like a friend come and be my assistant, or someone I trust to help me out. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
probably that's also important because if everything runs on your hand, it's draining, isn't it?
It's so draining, and also it can be dangerous. Like, for example, one of my Bali retreats, a girl broke her toe, so I had to go to the hospital with her. She had to have surgery overnight, and then in the morning I had to like be present all day, but I didn't sleep all night. So
it can be dangerous for you.
Dangerous for me,
health.
But if I'm in danger, everyone else is in danger because I am their safety. So it's not smart. But once again, I've learned from all these mistakes that I've made. So it's important to have an assistant in case anything like that happens. There's someone to like back you up and keep the glue together if you need to leave and go to the hospital. Or if I had an assistant, maybe I would have made them go to the hospital. I would have gotten the rest that I needed to continue hosting for a week long. So
when you meet people who are doing the same thing, same field as you you get to know so much from them that you won't discover on your own because you're sitting in a bubble of your room and just looking into a screen.
I just would like to make one point on the present versus future, because I relate to that so much. My partner and I just recently talked about it, that how much time do I spend on thinking about the past, present, future? And my numbers were maybe past 10%. I don't think too much about the past. Maybe I spend like 20 to 30% in the present moment, and everything else,
Future.
like 60% future state, right? And like her numbers are very different. And what I actually learned, and the realization that I had to come to, is that if I don't learn how to appreciate and be present, whichever future state I'm going to be in, that's going to be my present in the future. And I'm not going to still enjoy that. I'm not going to be grateful for that anyways. So sooner or later, we have to learn how to be present, because even if you think about the future, that future is going to become your present moment, and you are not going to be there. You are.
It becomes a pattern.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, you're never going to reach that state.
That was also a part of realization, and I would say in my life, a lot of things changed in Bali, and it changed because I was in the same thing as just what you said, like contemplating, like thinking about the future and future. And it was a realization moment when I landed here last year, and it was after about a month and a half, I would say. And it was that moment that I realized that everything I dreamed and wished for 2 years ago now is happening, and I'm living it. And I'm still cutting myself, being stressed about the future and be so caught up in my head about the next steps and hustling and everything. Like, what's the point then? If now I'm living what my 2 year ago self ever dreamt of, making the money that I dreamt of, living the life that I dreamt of.
I think that's
like
a very
where this will stop.
That's a very big thing, because I just had this conversation yesterday, because the people that I came here with, we rented a villa, and we were discussing, or 2 years ago we saw a person very big on YouTube staying in an exact villa like ours.
On the same villa?
Exact villas, like
a
little bit different, like
similar.
And we were like looking at that YouTube video 3 years ago and thinking, man, will we ever be able to afford this? Will we ever be able to come here? And now that we are here, we don't have any appreciation for it whatsoever.
Exactly.
We are here, but we're not here. We are just like, okay, now that same person has a $500,000 watch on his wrist, so we are like no, that's our
It's
thing.
not gonna give you the happiness. Though.
So again, I was like, if this is what this is, like, we are staying in a villa, we have a room, we have a really good weather, we can order in, you can have fun, you can go partying, you can meet so many new people, but still you're thinking about, I don't have that watch on my hand, like, but that guy's grown so much, I feel that's so, like, it gives you like a reality check, that when 2 years ago you thought that this is going to make you happy and it didn't, and now 2 years later you're thinking of another thing that's going to make you happy. I think it's a really vicious cycle to be in. Like, for example, in Bali, when I had this realization, there's always a car that I've wanted since I was a child. And
Which one?
It was a Mercedes A limousine. And it's really expensive in India because German cars are imported into India. So it's like almost double the cost of what it would cost in the US or Germany. And I didn't buy that car. I bought a separate car because it was lower. Like, it was like a Skoda, like a lower. And then I was just thinking that I've bought that car. It brought me happiness, but I still am like, maybe I should have, gone for the one that I always wanted. So I'm considering when I go back home, maybe I should switch to that car, because even if it's temporary happiness, I can check things off my bucket list. Otherwise, when I turn 26, 27, 28, I'm going to have a wife, I'm going to have kids, then you keep on delaying the pleasure that you want to give yourself, because right now it's just me. At the end, I'm taking care of myself in Bali, I'm taking care of myself, giving something back home, but not like 100%. But 3 years later, when it'll be 100%, then what? So I'm starting to see that you shouldn't like not look into the future, but you should always do the things that you were looking to do in the future, and also like go back 2 years and be happy about it. Like, I found this notebook of mine that I used to write 3 years ago, where I used to write the clients that I closed. And I had a month where I made $300 and something, and I had like balloons around it saying that, okay, this is my biggest month. And I remember the happiness. Today, even if I make $5,000 a month, I'm not that
still
happy.
happy.
I was happier making $350 a month because that money meant so much. And at that time, my 19-year-old self was like, "You're making a ton." You know,
Do you believe it
you're
was the
doing
money that makes the difference or the achievement?
Oh, at that time,
Yeah.
achievement, 100%.
Exactly.
Just
'Cause I
and I
don't
think
feel-
that turned into money because now you've got responsibilities, now you've got expenses, now you've got
And now it become a
expensive
norm.
tastes or lifestyle changes that you've made,
Yeah.
and now you're just so busy maintaining that you actually forget to like
Yeah.
say that okay, this is really good.
But
Like
it
I'm
no-
doing something
It
from
also
my
has
laptop.
become the norm now.
Yeah.
To make money from your
Yeah.
business. Like the first, you were so excited back then. It was the first ones that were coming in.
Yeah.
Now it has become a norm. Like you know that I can make like ups and downs. Some months I make that, some other months I make that. But
I think that
like,
happens with everything. Like I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure like Roger Federer is also not as happy winning a tennis match as he was when he won his first cup.
you need to. That's an internal work.
Exactly.
Like to keep practicing gratitude. Because
Exactly.
the same thing goes with a car. Like you at some point you get your dream car, and
After
the
that is
first
the next one.
the first few rides, you're ecstatic.
Yeah.
After the first month,
It's just a
you
car.
need to do the
Yeah.
internal work to keep
Exactly.
appreciating this car every day.
Exactly.
You need to do the internal work to keep appreciating this. Although I'm not a materialistic person, I do believe that some material things in life that we always want them and they are useful or they bring us joy,
Yeah.
they're useful to have them.
Yeah.
I never believe that any material will ever actually give happiness to you,
Happiness, yeah.
but
A sense of
they can give you a
achievement,
sense
maybe.
of achievement and joy and
Yeah.
fulfillment to some degree. But you need to remind yourself that you get what you always want because it's not about the material itself, it's what it means for you.
Yeah. You reached a goal and you could say that
Yeah.
I can finally
Like-
afford it.
And bounded with the emotion that this, my bike or my car, it represents the goal I hit.
Yeah.
It's not about the car anymore. Like,
Yeah.
fuck
It's
the car.
about- it's about the sense
I did
of-
it.
yeah.
It's about the achievement that you did, and keep reminding yourself to keep yourself grounded and be grateful for that. Otherwise, you're always gonna ask and need the next material. It's as you say, like now you live in the villa you always
Yeah.
dreamed of, and your mind went to the watch.
Yeah.
And the truth is, no watch will ever gonna make you happy.
Yeah.
You don't need the watch to be happy.
Yeah.
Like what is a watch? It just tells you like what time is it,
Yeah.
and it's just a nice.
Accessory.
Although I do accessory, and I love accessories and
Yeah.
jewelries and stuff, and I do believe like a good watch is like
Yeah.
a nice accessory,
Yeah.
but it's just an accessory
Exactly. Yeah.
and should be an accessory to your joy and happiness too.
Yeah, because I think like if you stop buying things as well, like if you
Yeah.
solely maintain that and you are living a monk lifestyle, then you do question at a time that why am I doing this? Obviously, some things may not be worth it, but they are worth it to you. I think I've never like discounted somebody for buying a Rolex or for buying a Casio just because it's what means to them and what they bring out of it. Like I never believe in people say, oh, it's a depreciating asset. If I believe that it's going to push me 10 times more, I don't believe it's a depreciating asset, you know. It's more about that feeling that you get from it.
Exactly.
So we covered quite a few things already. But what I also would like to find out from you is that if you had to start from scratch today,
Yeah.
where would you start? Because we were throwing words around, trust, money, this much revenue, course, revenue, YouTube, all of those kind of things, which can be super confusing for someone who is just starting out.
Yeah.
So where would you start?
I think I would take a full approach towards documentation as being a very key part of my journey. I would start to document me starting an agency from scratch on YouTube and on Instagram Reels. So day 1 of starting my own agency, day 2, day 3, day 4. Because what that will do is first I'm building myself from the beginning and showcasing it online. So I become accountable to the people who start to follow me. So that's a very big accountability thing. Later, it builds a very big personal brand for me because now I understand the importance of personal branding. And I'm really, like, if I look back, the only thing I would change about my business journey would be to document it for myself and for the people. So I would start to document it, learning how to do cold DM, sending out the worst cold DM, sending out the worst cold email, doing all of that as a part of documenting my whole journey. While I'm doing that, I would choose a service that I feel is right now popular. Maybe Reels is now very popular, video editing is popular, you know, something that has the demand right now. Choose that service, choose a niche in that service that makes sense to you, whatever you feel. You know, if you want to do dating coaches, you target dating coaches to build chatbots for example, and then start reaching out to them. see where they hang out. If they are a plumber, they won't be looking at their emails. They'll be looking at DMs. They'll be looking at messages. They'll be taking calls. So reach them there. If it's a real estate agent, they'll be on their Instagram all the time or all the cold email. Reach them over there. So see where your prospect is hanging out. If it's a CEO that you want to reach out to, go on LinkedIn because people just use LinkedIn. If it's a SaaS company, go on Twitter because all SaaS companies are on Twitter these days. So just find where people hang out. Don't be a headless chicken and just try to do everything. And then once you find that, give yourself a goal. Don't give yourself a 100 DM goal, 100 cold email goal. Give yourself a goal that will never make you look back to it. So if I bring myself to a goal of 10,000 outreaches, after 10,000 outreaches, I will never look back. If I didn't land a single client, I will never look back into that niche saying, oh, maybe I didn't try hard enough. I can eliminate something off, move on to the next. Elimination
so you
in
just
business is
eliminate
key.
the benefit of the I could have done it hard enough.
Exactly.
Because you already done it hard enough.
Exactly. I think elimination is key in business because I see so many people looking at the next best thing.
Same as
And-
when if you, I guess, want to grow an Instagram account or
Yeah.
something, don't give yourself a goal of like, I'm going to try this for a month.
Yeah.
Just set like the most insane goal that if you
Yeah.
do it and it actually didn't work, then you
Yeah.
have literally
Exactly.
tried
Like I posted
everything, like
500
1,000
reels.
posts.
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
Yeah,
You
1,000
need to choose the
reels.
right metric because time there is not the right metric because
Yeah.
you can
Time
spend
is
like an
not.
entire month doing nothing,
Exactly.
right? So you need
Exactly.
something that's actually measurable there.
Yeah. And I
So-
feel a very big part of online business is to stop watching content.
Stop watching.
Yeah. Like
Why?
take two people, for example. Like on YouTube, everybody is going to sell their course to you.
Yeah.
And when they want to sell their course to you, they'll make their service look the best.
Yeah.
So when you search for cold DM, you start with real estate agents. You start looking at real estate agents. You look at 2 videos and be like, okay, real estate agents is what I'm going to do. You start doing outreach. 200 messages later, you go back to a YouTube video to see if there's any new strategy. And there's this new guy who's saying, real estate agents is dead, try plumbers.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're like, oh,
So just
let me try
believe and
plumbers.
do it. You mean.
Exactly. Then when you're going through that video, you'll see a video, I made $1 million doing drop shipping. Oh,
Yeah.
drop shipping? Let me try that. So you forget about SMMA, and then it's a vicious cycle to be in. So I always say choose 2 mentors, 3 mentors that you can trust, unsubscribe everybody else. Just watch them, learn from them and implement them. They've reached somewhere and make sure that you know that they've reached somewhere. Don't just follow somebody because they have a big number on their video. Go and look at the history that they've been through.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. If you're a digital entrepreneur and you feel that you hit a roadblock with your business, with your health, or even with your relationships, or you just feel that you are running in loops, maybe the bottleneck is you. At least that was my case. So if you ever feel the calling to connect with professionals who can help you get rid of all of your limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging patterns, just drop me a message, hit the link in the description, and let's connect. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that.